Welcome on into Raw Thoughts. I'm your host, Josh Reese, and today is the Raw Thoughts for the episode of SmackDown, the go-home show for WWE Hell in a Cell. And this is probably going to be a short episode because there really was very, very little interesting that happened on this particular episode of WWE SmackDown Live. It was pretty uneventful. And really the only thing that, if there was one thing that bared a second watch, it was the finale of the episode when Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon, took center stage at the end. And that was worthy. That was a pretty good segment there between the two. But everything else, pretty meh. And I'll be 100% honest. There was plenty of stuff that went down on SmackDown Live, but very little that kind of helped sell. Lots of cells there. Sell Hell in a Cell. Sorry, it took me a minute there. I was thinking of Cell, S-E-L-L and C-E-L-L. Plenty of stuff. Even with Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode was in action on this episode of SmackDown Live, and still, meh. I'll be honest. I hope this feud with Dolph Ziggler pays off because I'm kind of missing Bobby Roode on NXT right now. I would much rather have him facing anyone else on NXT right now because, man, they've built up this feud with Dolph Ziggler to be something pretty epic, and I feel like it's going to fall short of the mark there. But we should get into at least the Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens segment because it was really pretty much the only interesting part of SmackDown Live, like I mentioned. So Shane McMahon walks to the ring, calls out Kevin Owens. Owens, of course, doesn't show. So Shane calls Owens a coward. So Owens appears Roman Reigns style in the crowd near the concession stands. And Owens teases like he's going to come down to the ring, but says, nah, meh, I've had enough. So he leaves and leaves up the crowd again, heads off to the concessions and whatever. And Shane McMahon says, hey, that's bullshit. I'm going to go beat your ass. And he heads up there and instantly gets destroyed by Kevin Owens. Owens comes down to the ring, calls out Shane some more. Shane follows Owens to the ring after he gets up from a table shot that Owens put him through up on the concession level. So Shane goes down there. He gets destroyed in the ring. And, they tease their Hell in a Cell match pretty well. Also, Shane McMahon announced that this was going to be a Falls Count Anywhere Hell in a Cell. So this seems like it is not going to finish inside the cell. So it leaves, makes people's minds wander. It's probably going to finish on top of the cell. In fact, if you look at WWE.com and I'm looking at an ad on their website and it has the Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens, the picture Hell in a Cell, and you have Kevin Owens climbing the cell while Shane McMahon is doing an elbow drop. Either an elbow drop off the cell or it looks like he was pushed off the cell. So I don't know. So they're certainly teasing that this is going to finish on top of the cell, or at least there's going to be some action on the cell. So that is pretty interesting. But aside from that, I'm still having a problem understanding this feud. Yes, it's because Kevin Owens feels like he's been slighted by Shane McMahon. I understand that part. But what are the stakes here? What happens if Kevin Owens loses? What happens if Kevin Owens wins? If Kevin Owens wins, does that mean... I just don't understand. I wish there was more clearer stakes on this. Like why couldn't you do if Kevin Owens loses, he's fired. Of course, he could be rehired by Raw. If Kevin Owens wins, he gets control of SmackDown. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be done, and I felt like when Shane McMahon came out and said he was going to change a little bit of the rules and announce the Falls Count Anywhere, I thought that he was going to announce something like that to where, hey, if Kevin Owens loses, I'm firing him, or something to that effect. I really feel, while I'm very interested in this feud between these two, and I think they're going to do a lot of crazy shit on and off the cell, I just wish there was more stakes so I could kind of like really sink my teeth into this feud. Because right now, as I understand it, win or lose, Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon are still going to be SmackDown and SmackDown Live. So, I mean, they're just going to continue getting more and more upset as it leads to Survivor Series, where we do Team Owens versus Team Shane McMahon. I'm not entirely sure. I just wish I knew more. I just wish this feud had a little bit extra into it. But like I said, maybe they're saving it for Survivor Series. Who knows? So, like I mentioned, that was really pretty much it that's worth talking about on this episode of SmackDown Live. I really wish there was more, but I mean, you got an episode with Ty Dillinger in action. You got an episode with the New Day and the Usos in action, although it's just them talking to each other, and it was kind of boring. But that's my point. You had so many good elements that could have made a really fun SmackDown Live show going into Hell in a Cell, but it really kind of fell flat. And this was not a very good episode of SmackDown Live. And thank God for Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon saving it at the end, because they kept it from being completely god-awful. So that's pretty much all I have. I appreciate everyone for giving this a listen. If you enjoyed this, please like it. Please also share this with any other WWE fans you know out there that enjoy wrestling. I would appreciate that. Also, if this is your first time listening to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a lot of sports content up here, either via WWE stuff, or I do a lot of Houston sports as well. And finally, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about this episode of SmackDown Live. Am I being a little bit too snobby about this episode? Is it me? Are there people that enjoyed this episode of SmackDown Live? I'd love to know. So let me know your thoughts. I would appreciate it. This has been Raw Thoughts. I am, of course, your host, Josh Reese. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Joshua. And with that, I am out of here. I will talk to y'all guys next week.